let me think about what I think about things instead of being inundated by all these other people's thoughts constantly all day long, which is valuable. It's good to get other people's perspectives on things. I think it enriches you, but at a certain point in time, become captive to it. And I think there's just too many people that are captive to other people's thoughts. It's so crazy. Like, what is going on? Like, the whole world is mad at us, and everybody wants to think there's some like grand plan to it. Well, they think the grand plan is, look, we remember back when was it the 92 elections when Ross Perot was in?
Mm-hmm.
So when Ross Perot laid out what happened, do you remember during that debate where Ross Perot laid out what happened with the tariffs? So that like when we try to sell stuff over there, we get a high tariff. It's like a 35% tariff, but they don't get tariffs when it comes over here. It's not the same. It's not like, you guys, there's a tax on everybody if you want to sell your goods to encourage people to buy American products. If you want to sell your products in America,
sure,
we get a tax. That tax goes to the fucking grid or whatever the hell they're fixing with it.
Right.
Ross Perot was laying it out like this is how all the jobs went to Mexico, because it's see if you can find it. It's a great speech. Because Ross
when he talked about the giant sucking sound.
Yes. You actually mentioned that earlier in the podcast.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes, that's it. That's funny. Did you just see that recently or something?
No, I just remember it.
Oh, boy. The giant...
He would have been a great president.
I voted for him.
He had big ears, and he didn't come across well on TV.
Independent. He was an independent. And nobody was voting for independent. By the way, they changed the whole way debates work after this, because it used to be if you got 5% of the vote in the primary that you could be a part of the presidential debates. And that's not the case anymore. Or it was 5% in a poll. I forget what the number was that you had to reach, but it wasn't a high threshold. And then you could be a part of the debate. And they changed the shit out of that after this because Ross Perot tanked it. They thought HW was going to go for a second term.
Right.
And meanwhile, Ross Perot fucked it up because a lot of people that would have voted for Bush voted for Ross, and the people that were already going to vote for Clinton voted for Clinton, and Clinton won. But play this, Jim.
$13, $14 an hour for factory workers. And you can move your factory south of the border, pay $1 an hour for labor, hire a young 25. That's assuming you've been in business for a long time. You've got a mature workforce. Pay $1 an hour for your labor. Have no health care. That's the most expensive single element making a car. Have no environmental controls, no pollution controls, and no retirement. And you don't care about anything but making money. There will be a giant sucking sound going.
There it is, right there.
That's it.
If the people send me to Washington, the first thing I'll do is study that 2,000-page agreement and make sure it's a two-way street. One last point here. I decided I was dumb and didn't understand it, so I called a who's who of the folks who've been around it. And I said, why won't everybody go south? They said, we'll be disrupted. I said, for how long? I finally got them up for 12 to 15 years. And I said, well, how does it stop being disruptive? And that is when their jobs come up from $1 an hour to $6 an hour, and ours go down to $6 an hour, then it's leveled again. But in the meantime, you've wrecked the country with these kinds of deals.
Jesus Christ,
He was
what
right.
a fucking smart man.
He was right. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. American manufacturing collapsed. Yeah. And they did it all for money. And they did it all because they were greedy. They were already rich.
Right.
And if we could have just gotten those motherfuckers some ayahuasca,
Jesus Christ, they'd have smoothed the fuck out, man.
they would have said, oh, okay.
Yeah, let's be nice.
Let's make America great again.
I don't understand the trade war with Canada, because have you ever met a Canadian that had $35 in his pocket? No. They're all broke. They have $22.
Really?
And they'll buy you a beer. You know, I love
They're all
Canadians.
broke?
I've always, they're broke. They don't have any money up there.
How come they don't have any money?
Because it's socialism. You know, I think it's a great place. Don't you love Canada?
I love it. Well, they have
Yeah.
socialized medicine, but it's a capitalist society.
It is, but socialized medicine, and
Yeah.
it's expensive. So
What percentage of the Canadians pay in taxes?
So I don't know.
Let's find that out. What's the Canadian tax rate? I know it's higher than Americans.
I know mine's a bitch.
And when you go over there, you have to pay taxes too. Like if you do a gig,
Yeah, you have to pay taxes.
yeah, you pay Canadian taxes on your
And
gig.
you get paid in Canadian dollars. I'm not going up there much for shows.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So here it is. Canada's top federal income tax rate is 33%, while the U.S. is 37%.
right.
However, when combining federal, provincial, state taxes, Canadians often face higher marginal rates across various income levels. That's interesting, that theirs is only 33%, ours is 37%. I thought ours was Lower than theirs.
I thought ours was 40.
Well, it is when you get to a certain tax bracket, correct? Isn't it? Ours changes when you get higher, right?
Yeah, it does.
33% on the portion over $246,000. What's ours in terms of like the highest tax bracket? What's the highest U.S. Is it 37? That's what it is? What's really crazy to me is when people say the rich should pay more taxes. Okay, fine. But where do you think that's going? Where's that going? Where's the money going? Is the money going to the federal government? Do you think they're good at it? Do you think they're good at managing your money? Have you paid attention to all the shit Elon's fucking uncovered? 37% is when you make over $609,000 a year. That's you, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, that's me last month.
This is the thing. It's like, I'm happy to pay tax if I thought that they were doing a great job. But it's just you are being strong-armed into giving money to people that do a really shitty job of protecting your money and investing it in the country. It's a lot of it is going to bureaucracy and bullshit and a bunch of things that you don't have any say in. If you could like opt out of it, if you could like, imagine if you like pick what you know, if you had like a whole tax sheet, would you like your money to go to? Would you like your money to go to overthrowing governments? No. Like, what if the federal government's budget was entirely based on the will of the people? Like, you get to choose. Like, how much of your money you want to put into drone strikes in Yemen? I say I don't want zero of my money going to that. You know, how much money do you want to go to this or that or clean water? Okay, clean water sounds good. You know, how much infrastructure? Fuck yeah, fix the streets.
Well, I'm kind of, I agree with you, and I've just heard you say this, that, you know, that everybody should have access to health care and education.
100%.
And
the whole country.
The whole country, everybody, that would rise us all up.
100%. Less losers.
Yeah.
That's how you make America great. Less losers. Less people that are saddled down with a lifetime of debt because they broke their leg. That's crazy.
Already, we're what, 2 months into the sort of presidency, and it is the velocity of bullshit.
Stupidity.
If you can get 1 million plays in a day because Trump got bopped on the nose by a fucking boom mic, it just the appetite is, it seems endless for it. It just feels it's exhausting. I'm kind of having to check out. And I know that people say, oh, well, it's a luxurious position. You don't need to pay attention to politics. It's a luxurious position for you to be in. People at the bottom, they do need to pay attention to politics. It's an interesting stat because actually the most educated, wealthiest people are the ones that spend the most time consuming news and talking about politics. It's the people at the bottom rung of the ladder that don't. So that's not true. I'm just fucking exhausted. I'm so...
You're allowed to be exhausted. It's ridiculous. Newsweek wrote an article about how one of the names of one of our podcast guests, who's a good friend of mine, Michael Costa, his name was misspelled accidentally.
On the feed?
On the feed.
And
so
Rogan feed.
Newsweek...
Is that you, Jamie?
It wasn't even misspelled. I don't know. It was miscapitalized. It's the second letter had a capitalization too on accident, and I don't know.
The defense rests its case here.
It wasn't even misspelled, right? It was M-I, Michael Costa. Like me, Kyle Costa or something.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a headline.
It's a fucking article in Newsweek.
Do you ever think that your career would result in you having typos for a headline, Jamie?
I don't even know which ones we've missed. I'm sure there's been other ones. That's just the first one.
100%. What happens? It happens. People make mistakes. You're typing things in.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's an article that we're being called out for a typo.
Must be
That's
a fucking...
an art, but it's just anything for clicks, man.
Slow week for news.
Anything for clicks.
That was something that I noticed, a trend that I've noticed over the last couple of years. Legacy media is really struggling to garner attention itself. It seems like fewer and fewer people are listening to it. We saw that over the last election. You know, it seems to me like the best way that legacy media can gain traffic is to talk about independent media.
Yeah.
How many times are we seeing headlines about Andrew Huberman or about the right-wing manosphere pipeline and how it's getting people to do this? Or the other side, like, why is there not a Joe Rogan of the left? Like, you know, whatever the headline is, more and more the way that legacy media is able to achieve traffic is only in reference to independent media.
Yes.
So then as opposed to us being downstream from them, they're now downstream from us.
Yeah, and anything masculine is right wing. Anything. You cannot be masculine. Like, you cannot be interested in physical fitness, anything.
It's a pipeline to being right wing.
Yes. You can't like fast cars.
Nope.
You're not allowed to. You're not even allowed to like Teslas anymore.
Misogynist.
Which are the fastest cars.
Yep.
Yeah, you're a misogynist. You're probably racist. Maybe a Nazi. I'm going to put a swastika in your car just to let everybody know. There was some really fucking stupid graph that someone put up of how right-wing social media and new media people
That was the Media
dominate.
Matters study. Yeah. This is
And
interesting.
I was
Jamie,
at the
can you try
top
and
of the
find that?
list. I was at the top of the list, and I was like, I feel like the way Caitlyn Jenner must have felt like when she won Woman of the Year. Like, it's so quick. I got to the top of the list. I'm not even right wing. Just because I support Trump, I supported him over the rest of the fucking nonsense that was going on when you're trying to push through someone without even a primary.
Here it is.
This is it. I'm number one, bitch. It's kind of funny. Like, they're putting Theo Vaughn in
Lex
there.
Friedman.
Yeah, that's Lex Friedman. That's hilarious to put him in there. Who else they have in there that's ridiculous?
Piers Morgan.
Well, Piers Morgan is kind of light right-leaning, I think.
Light right.
But I think he's pretty reasonable. I think he's far more of a centrist.
Kill Tony 3.5. I still don't understand how that's a political show.
It's not, but Tony, was at the
Yeah.
White House or the
Flagrant 2.8. Yeah.
Flagrant is not a right-wing show, you fucking
I have
idiots.
a bunch of red dots too with no names on them, and then blue dots.
You're
too,
allowed
but
to. Shut up,
they just
Jamie.
didn't
Stop
put
being.
names.
I managed to thread the needle of avoiding this.
You're gonna get on there now.
yeah, well,
They're gonna
yeah.
put you on now.
Yeah.
Jamie, those red ones are real. Just shut up.
No, I don't know.
No,
why
they're
they were-
real. They're
Red,
all
blue,
real.
and
There's a couple blue ones that are real
Just put
too.
the name. I don't know. Why they did it that
Fuck
way.
the name.
Yeah.
They're too little to get
Too
a
small.
name.
No one cares. No one gives a
Yeah,
fuck.
it's hilarious. It's
Yeah,
very funny.
What do you think of or if you got a proposed reason for why this, is it just a judgment criteria that they're judging shows that aren't right-wing as right-wing? Or is it genuinely that for some reason the left is struggling to make progress in independent media?
Well, they're struggling to make progress in independent media for sure, and they're trying to figure out why. They're trying to figure out why what they are calling right-wing. I think if you looked at all my positions, I think way more of them are left-wing than right-wing.
So